We will use strings throughout the game development process, not just for our character names or for our cool weapons or puzzles that are in our games, but also for debugging purposes. We will log stuff out to the console, such as actors' names, their locations maybe, so we can have a textual representation of a vector. A vector will contain the X, Y, and Z position of our actor in the world, so you may want to get that and to format that and print that out. Now in the Unreal Engine, we will actually make use of the FString class instead of the standard string. The standard C++ string manages a C string, and in a similar way the FString class manages a C string of T chars. The T char or type char is used instead of char or W char T for characters, because Unreal Engine has to support multiple platforms. And with the T char type we get native Unicode encoding. It is also a dynamically sizable string, so in other words we are not overly concerned with the size of that string. We can append to it and just keep working with it. Of course the C string is not a dynamically sizable string. That is why we use a class to abstract away the management of a C string or a character string. The FString class has a rich set of member functions including append, compare, contains, and so forth. It also has some overloaded operators for concatenation and more. One of those operators includes the asterisk operator, and that is used to get a pointer to the managed array of T chars, so to the character string that is managed by that class. Let's go back to our project so we can see an example of how we can declare an FString. I will navigate to the dummy actor source file, and I will demonstrate in the constructor. We can always move this later. I will declare an FString called greeting, or just some demo string. Note that we don't need any special includes for this class since it should come in through the default includes. You may need to wait a bit for IntelliSense to catch up, but you can right click on the type and go to definition. That will navigate over here in the Unreal string header. Notice we have this FString class which is part of the core API module. We have some comments as well. This is a dynamically sizable string and some more use case notes. In the private section, notice that we have this typedef, a T array of T char named data type. Then a variable is declared of that type named data. So the FString basically handles a character array for us. Back in the dummy actor source file, how do we initialize this greeting variable now? Well, we can provide a C string literal, but this is actually not what we want to do. We will use the text macro and pass our string literal in like this. So what is this text macro about then? String literals are encoded using ANSI, and ANSI is limited in the characters that it supports. An ANSI literal passed to an FString needs a conversion to T char, in other words the native Unicode encoding. Remember I mentioned the FString manages an array of T char, or in other words a C string of T char. So basically we can use the text macro to convert the string literal to the appropriate type. If the T char for the platform is UTF-8, then use that, otherwise use the wider character type. Maybe a string made up of 2 bytes per character. If it is a narrow string, prepend U8, or if it is a wide string, prepend U or L, for example, stuff like that. We don't have to dig too deep into it and go into how the text macro works behind the scenes, but that is basically what it does. It will convert the string literal to the appropriate type. So to wrap up, we can use the FString to manage a C string for us, instead of having to do this sort of thing. Const tarray C string array, and we can assign to that using text and passing in the string literal. Again, it is easier to use the FString class since it has overloaded operators and member functions that makes string handling easier. With the FString initialization, we can also use this syntax, FString, and then pass text into that with our literal. And with that, we are going to wrap up this introduction to the FString class and the text macro. We will see these again in upcoming lectures as we learn about logging stuff out to the console for debugging. This was just a quick introduction.